Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about the book I read, Donald Trump's How to Get Rich. In this video I'm going to be basically going through the main points of this book, what I think of it, basically analyzing it, giving my opinion, and basically talking about what I learned. Before I read this book, I was never really a reader, and every time I read a book for school, it would be over a course of a few months because it never really caught my attention, it was boring to read. I read this book in around a week. I actually finished reading it like 5 days ago or something, so hopefully during this video my memory of the book isn't too sloppy. And yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so just before I get into this book and the stuff within it, I just want to basically say what you got to see from this book, like what it's got to be about, and basically what to expect. As I said, it's about Donald Trump and by Donald Trump. In this book, he not only tells you how to get rich, he tells you like the behaviors you need to put towards something and how to react. And he goes really deep into things, like the little things that basically build you up to being rich. And he also talks about himself, and he uses a lot of like scenarios like that he's experienced. He had so many things that basically give you a life example, and it really teaches you and makes you understand it much more deeply. He also talks about his personal life and how the people around him affected him and how to even act towards people who are, I don't know, downing you, whatever. He talks about all of that. And this book is great for people who, first of all, are interested in Donald Trump and would like to know more about him because he is a very interesting man, and I've learned that while I've been reading this. But this book is for people who basically, not obviously how to get rich, but that's always up to you. Like, it's not a guarantee that you'll get rich, but I guarantee you'll learn something. This is for people that just are looking to learn something new. Anyway, now I'm going to get into the different parts of the book and the different points that he brought up. Alright. Okay, so to start us off with the book, I'm going to talk about the first chapter of the book. Trump talks about business and management. So this is in a setting of business. This will be basically how to run a business. So first thing for business and management, he talks about how it's important to be a general. And what he means by that is all the calls you make, basically you hold the responsibility for yourself and also your troops. Learning how to make the right calls is very important, and you need to take into account of everyone who's could be affected or is getting affected. Say you're in a business, in a work office, you make a deal or something, and you need all your employees to, I don't know, go to a different building, or I don't know, do something that they are incapable of doing or can't do. It might affect their personal life. So you always need to take into account people around you and your employees. Trump says when you're running a business, it's very important to have trust. Trust, I reckon, is one of the most important things, especially like when hiring someone or when you're working with someone. Trust connects everything. Everything you do and all the old things that need to get done. Trust is a component of everything. Things will get done faster with trust. You'll less stress because it can be done. And to do that, you need to find trustworthy employees or trustworthy people around you. You need to pick who you're working with, and that's very important. Whatever you're doing, you need to have someone that is most competent and they're trustworthy, or things won't get done, and basically everything's got to be held up. So going on the same path of employees and having trust, when you're picking your employees, you also want to look for some other things. Trump says, it's always best not to just look for the degree they have or the qualification they have, because that doesn't always turn out to be the best. You want to look for people that have passion, in what they do. And say someone's more qualified, they may be good at, I don't know, certain things on paper, right? But they might not fit the job, and someone who's less qualified but knows more about this or has the passion for what they do, and they're curious and just have all these sort of traits that make them want to work harder and do better. Sometimes they fit the job better. So you always want to test your employees just to see basically how they hold up with the job. So finding the right attitudes towards the job can be a lot of time much more important than finding the right qualifications, because have the right qualifications won't do the job well. It's not what they like or whatever. So another important thing to know when managing a business and employees is to manage the person and not the job. Because what I mean by that is everyone works differently, you know what I mean? They might organize what they do at different times differently to others. So say you're looking for someone to do this, right? So a certain job, and they're like, oh, they're not doing it right, they're doing it slowly, or, they're not doing how I think. Don't take that as they can't do it. Take that as they have a different way of completing their task. You want to learn how different people work to get the most out of them. Trump actually showed an example. He told an example of someone he knew, and he said he had a worker that basically it looked like he was doing nothing, and all his fellow workers were complaining to the boss, and he said, you only gotta help him, let him keep doing what he's doing, bring him coffee, help him out, encourage him, because he came up with an idea that made us millions, and this is just his way of thinking. So people work differently. Learn to get the most out of people, and to find the best employees, you need to learn how to manage them and not the task, you know what I mean? So to keep a consistent rhythm in business and to never lose it, you always need to stay focused. And what I mean by that is, obviously, you need to concentrate on what you're doing. But, don't just get stuck on, you're doing the business. Don't just do the business, focus on the business. You need to think about everything that's around you. Say you're going on a trip or something, and something to do with the market of something you should get into. Say you're a businessman, you're not in a specific field, but you need to know how the market flows and different things, new trends, right? Say you go somewhere and you want to pay attention to how things are going, what people are interested in. So you want to get, and that's how you get first-hand information. You'll get your own experience, and your own experience is the best information to make decisions. What I mean by that is, say you go somewhere, you realize something yourself, it's not someone tells you or you read about it. It's always better to do it yourself. So it's very important to focus on your surroundings and all these new things, because they end up affecting. You might be going well, but then all of a sudden, boom, it drops because you haven't been focusing on the world. Yeah, so never lose your momentum, and you have to be able to adapt and be open to new things, and always look for something, because trends always pop up. It's not always the same. You can't just always have to do the same thing for years. You always have to change somehow, and that's a very good way to have a successful business. So now I'm gonna have a talk to you about your career in how to get rich. So we just talked about managing a business. Say you got a business and you just want tips. That's good. Now we'll talk about your career and how to create opportunities and stuff like that, basically. So one thing that I read about in the book is how golf is a very good way to make money and get yourself known. Donald Trump, he has his own golf courses. He started off by just playing golf. And you meet a lot of people there, and a lot of people that play golf usually are wealthy, successful people. Well, can be more likely to find them there than somewhere else. So he said, very good to play golf. And that's why opening opportunities for yourself is so important, because you can, it's always good to build it from the ground up, but to find people to help you, or to find connections, or it's always good to get support. And finding opportunities like playing golf is a good idea, because find someone who give you tips about this, find someone who maybe wants to do a business with you or whatever. So create opportunities for yourself as much as possible. It could be playing golf, it could be going to exhibitions, or stuff like that. Finding different people, getting connections, creating more opportunities, as many as possible, because that'll give you a better chance. Another very important thing when you are making your own career and controlling your future is you need to learn to trust your gut, because the decisions you make determine basically everything. And to learn to trust your gut, you need to basically have instincts and learn your instincts, and basically what your mind and body's telling you. And how you do that is Trump recommended reading this guy named Carl Jung. He talks about like your brain and how your mind and your the consciousness and everything about that, and how your subconscious, we actually did a video about stuff about consciousness and stuff like that, so you can go check that out. And he talks about how the Carl Jung guy talks about consciousness and how like observation. Just he talks about that, and that help if you read about stuff like that and do stuff like meditation and mindful things like that. It'll help you evolve and build your instincts and teach you to trust your gut. And trusting your gut also comes with experience. Even if it's the wrong decision, sometimes it's experience. You'll learn from it, and you'll learn to trust it. And because it's always better to go with your decisions and not. You can get other people's recommendations, but in the end, it comes down to you. So, learn to trust your gut, and things will go your way. When you have to think about the future, you always have to think positive and visualize how it's going to be. Without a vision, you're not going to get there. You can't just wing it as you go. Hope for the best. So build a vision and then start. So before you go into something like a project or whatever sort, you need to know how it's going to turn out. Okay, so to have success, you need to learn as much as you can from others who have had success, and just others in general around you, to basically learn as much as possible and to succeed. And that's why it is very important to reflect. And by reflect, it could be reading, it could be just thinking about the day, it could be researching and stuff like that, or it could just be as simple as writing down notes for the day and then reading them at the end of the day or whatever. Because reflecting teaches you to improve, and it teaches you to evolve, because you can't just be stuck in the same thing all the time. So improving and evolving and more success comes from learning more, and learning more. Reflecting is really good for that. And speaking of learning, you always have to do your own homework in order to get first-hand information, to learn as close as possible to the truth or what it is as much as possible, because you need first-hand information always beats second, third, whatever hand information. That's why you need to go to the source. Whether you say you need to find out about something in a foreign country, you should always. Trump said, I always flew to that country and personally talked to them. I didn't want to just hear one of my employees or connections tell me about what they said, because first-hand information is always the most clear and you always get the most out of it. So do your homework and always look for first-hand information or the closest hand information as much as possible to ensure it's the right information. Okay, so now on to the next segment of this book. I'm going to talk about negotiation, because in business, this is for business, but negotiation can apply to your whole life, which is great. That's why books like this are great, because they don't just apply to business and making money, they apply to your life in every way. So when you're negotiating, you always want to think about both sides and not just yourself, because you can it's always important to try to get the best deal, but if the other side's not happy, you can forget about any deal. So you always want to look in their best interest and learn about what they're doing. So you always want to learn about the other side or the people you're working with to ensure you get the best deal. Because if you mess up a deal, future negotiations won't be good for you with the connection with them and others, because say it's a big deal, especially. You'll be known and people won't want to deal with you. So when you make a deal, you always want to think about both sides, make both sides happy, and it'll make you it'll be better for the future for other negotiators to be comfortable with you and your connection with the person you're negotiating with. And a tip that Donald Trump gave is win their hearts. He said like this: win their hearts and minds will follow. So you want to impress them, give them the upper hand at first, tell them, make it sound good for them, and then their minds will follow. You know what I mean? So always take them into account to ensure a better deal. Yeah, so when you're thinking about both sides, always make sure that both sides are winning, because that makes everyone happy. And that's always better. So you always want to pick how you enter a negotiation, because obviously the people you deal with are always different. So sometimes you may have to be stubborn, sometimes it's easy, but you have to know when to do what. So sometimes being stubborn is an asset. Sometimes they may be just trying to put on a face, to win the negotiation, or to make you feel like you need to take the deal. You need to be stubborn, and as Trump said earlier, win their hearts and the mind will follow. So it's all negotiations a mind game. So you always need to pick your attitudes, and sometimes being stubborn is good because it can make you have the upper hand on the deal. Sometimes when making a deal, you feel like, oh, I have to make this deal, so you just almost take anything. Sometimes you have to learn to say no, and you just need to be patient till the right thing comes along, because good things come to those who wait. So you have to know when to say no, or you might get screwed. So don't feel like you have to do anything. Find the right opportunity and take it when it comes to you. So now I just want to talk about one of the last things in negotiation. Sometimes you'll have to screw some people, because say they do something to you in the past, don't just avoid them. Sometimes if it comes along, you just need to screw them, teach them a lesson. This is a lesson for Trump. You need to teach them a lesson, and teach them not to mess with you, because standing up for yourself in the business world is very important to have a successful business. People know not to mess with you, and it'll basically, it just helps with your confidence too, and the state of negotiating with you. So now that I've told you some tips and tricks of negotiating and some rules, so I say negotiation can apply to your life. You learn how to negotiate. It's also good to read books on it. I can tell you some things, but read books to get a better understanding. So it applies to your life. It can help you get out of situations where you need to negotiate your way out of things. It can save you money along the way, because save money there with negotiation skills. Save it here, before you know it, it's actually worth something. And also, negotiation can help with just your communication skills. Negotiation is a very mindset way of talking to people. You need to have a mindset going in. It's a mind game, so it's a good way to learn about people and how to communicate with them. All this sort of stuff helps with life skills, and negotiation is very crucial for being successful. So one of the last things I want to talk about with having success and getting rich is your lifestyle. Your lifestyle determines everything, because you don't have the right lifestyle, things won't get done, it won't be consistent, and you'll be stuffed. So you need to pick your lifestyle according to your situation. Whether you have to wake up early, you have to learn how to wake up early. You need to have discipline, and because Trump, he wakes up very early and he reads, because that's what he needs to do to basically get him focused for the day. He needs to do that. You need to find whatever suits you to get the most out of what you're doing, and to basically stay consistent and have a routine, because a routine in things where you need to make money is very important, because you'll lose focus, you'll lose momentum. So yeah, choosing your lifestyle is very important. And when I talk about lifestyle, I could also be talking about not just yourself and your routine, but you need to talk about basically, say you're in business. In Trump's case, he wears suits and ties and nice clothing. He thought at first that I could just wear a cheap suit and no one would notice, but he says hold yourself up to a higher standard. Well, especially in his case, where he's with development and a very big, large development with a lot of money involved. So he has to impress. So dress for your occasion, for your situation, because sometimes you have to impress people, or sometimes you have to make yourself stand out. Alright, so now I've talked just a little bit about lifestyle. I just want to basically start concluding and saying some important things that I think you should know. So, say you're an adult and you have children, it's always important to teach your children everything you do, and basically take them with you with everything. My father actually does that a lot, so I'm grateful for that. So if you're an adult with kids watching that, always include your children into activities that could teach them, because the experience with actually being there, whether it's meetings or you're dealing or whatever, it's always good to teach them. So that experience is the best way of learning. Find your way of doing things, because everyone works differently. Everyone does things differently. So you read about everyone else, find tips from everyone, but you always need to find your niche in everything you do. That's having a routine is important. So you need to find your routine, what works best for you, and things like reading and finding about other people can really open you up to ways of doing stuff, whether it's your your daily routine, whether it's your how to negotiate or whatever business stuff. You need to learn off other people and find your own information through homework and find what works best for you. Because once you have momentum in everything you do, once you have everything flowing, everything just comes in together and everything just runs. So I may have missed some things in this video from the book. So I just basically talked about the most important things in the book and gave went deeper into it and talked about it myself and basically all my understanding from this book. And I continued on the points that Trump made, and stuff like that. I really like the book. You should pick it up if you like the sound of it through this video. He talked about in the video about he was on the show Apprentice in the early 2000s. I didn't really talk about that because it's not really about how to get rich, but I guess if you read it, it gives you more of an insight on how to get rich, but nothing straight up that I can really talk to you about. And he also talked about what he does in a week, and how he runs things. So if you want to learn about basically how to find what your system is, or get some tips on that, in this book there is a chapter where he talks about stuff like that, what he does in a week. So I'm just gonna wrap it up there. This book for me is up there, one of the best books I read. Reading is kind of something that I'm really getting into now, and I really like this book, so you can go check it out if you want to learn about this. Anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry if this video is a mess, it probably is. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.